Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. I've got your tip of the week for you and I'm going to talk about pins and clips and bias tape. So let's take a look at the type of straight pins and clips that are out there. Now, I don't have a sample of them, but dressmaker pins. They're much shorter, they don't have a very large head on it. And when I was first learning how to sew, that's all we had. They were just these little short pins. They're really, I feel, difficult to use for the type of sewing that I do, but dressmakers do use them. Then there's quilting pins, which is what this is right here. It's a little bit longer and it's got a larger head on it that are real easy to use. And then there is decorative pins. Now I don't have any samples of those. I really don't use them, but there are hundreds of them. So just go on Amazon or on the internet and say decorative straight pins. You'll find these little flower flathead ones. You'll find little butterfly ones. Then it's all on the tip. Pearl top ones, everything. There's all types out there. And often you'll see crafters use those when they're making something and they want to put a few pins in them to make it look very decorative. Then there are clips. There are these small clips and a variety of manufacturers make them. If you go on Amazon, you're going to see all types and they pretty much all cost about the same. And you can buy them in these little tubs that have quite a few in them, anywhere from 100 to 150 to them in each container. And I really like these. Then there is hemming clips. Now I don't have any of these because I don't really have a need for them, but they're 3 inches long and some of them have little measurement lines on them and some don't. And again, they use that in clothing, probably in making drapes where they're going to have large hems in them. So my favorite straight pin is this one right here, and my favorite clip is this one right here. Now I had a viewer ask me, how should I pin things together? So here's an example of 2 pieces of fabric pinned together. And here's one way of pinning. This is probably the way I use in my videos because most people are right-handed and it's easier for them to reach over with their right hand and pull them out as they're feeding it through their sewing machine. Then there's this way, which I actually prefer, but you don't see me using it very often because I'm left-handed. And when I'm stitching, it's easier for me to pull it out this way. So as far as pinning, whatever is easiest for you. And I recommend that you don't stitch over your pins because you do risk breaking your needle. Some people, they don't care. They want that fabric to stay exactly right there where they put it. And I kind of have a tendency to fall into that. And I do, on occasion, not very often, break a needle. So I sometimes will stitch over them. The clips, when you're using the clips, there is a flat edge and a curved edge. The flat edge stays down like this. And you can't stitch over these unless you're doing a really wide seam. So you have to remove them. So for me, using the clips, even though I do use these, it's awkward for me because my right hand doesn't close, so I can't grab anything like this. But I use these thick, large clips like this when I'm making oven mitts or really thick pot holders, or I'm holding multiple layers of fabric together. I will use the clips because it's much easier to put the clips on than it is the pins. There's 2 types of bias tape that are out there. There's your single fold bias tape, and these are double fold. This is 1/4 inch double fold, 1/2 inch, and 1 inch. So I'm going to flip this one over. This is your single fold. So it's about a 1/2 inch wide and two of the edges are folded in towards the center. This kind of acts as a casing sometimes for certain things. I don't use this very often, but I do keep some in my little stash of supplies because every now and then I do need it. It's the double fold that I use a lot. I mostly use this 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch. Once in a while I use the full inch. Now I'm going to show you a close-up of the 1/2 inch, which is probably used the most. And it is folded twice. So it's on the inside, the two outer edges. This is about 2-inch wide fabric. The outer edges are folded in towards the center. They don't meet, they don't touch in the center. There's probably 1/8 of an inch apart. And then it's folded again and pressed in half. So this is often used to bind edges of whatever you're making. Also, one edge is folded over a little bit shorter than the other edge. In other words, this top edge doesn't go all the way over to where the bottom edge is. And that's because this top piece goes on the top of whatever it is you're making, so that the bottom is a little wider. So when you stitch it closed, you stitch close to this top edge here. As your needle goes down through the fabric, it's much easier for that needle to catch this other edge if it sticks out just a little bit farther than the top edge. Now, bias tape, especially the 1/2 inch, comes in a variety of colors, but sometimes you can't find the right color that you need. So you have a choice. You settle for another color that really doesn't quite go with what you're making, or you make it yourself. And bias tape is not difficult to make. It just takes a little bit of time. So here's a sample of bias tape that I've cut. And I'm going to explain how it's cut. But when it's cut, this is about 2 inches wide, like the other 1/2 inch I was showing you. But you'll notice the edges are cut at a diagonal. And they need to be like that because when you stitch, let's say, 2 pieces together, that way it's stitched on a bias slant and it will continue to stretch better and lay flatter on whatever it is you're making. So when you're cutting your bias tape, here's a sample of fabric. So I've unfolded the fabric in this diagram, and there's a selvage edge here and a selvage edge here. So here is the straight grain lines. There's a line of thread that goes this way and a line of thread that goes with this way. This is how it's woven at the manufacturer. But when you cut it on the bias like this is, it will stretch. But if you cut it on the straight grain and you try to put your this bias tape around a curved edge, it's not going to lay flat. Your edges will begin to roll up. So that's why if you're going to put bias tape on something that's curved, you need to cut it across like this. So let me get a ruler here. Here's one of my quilting rulers. And on a quilting ruler, that's why I like buying these. It has all of these different degree lines on them. And they're to indicate for certain angles you want to cut things. I'm not going to go into all of these because most of them I don't use. But this 45-degree angle I use a lot. So there it is right there where this little arrow is pointing. So I'm going to take my little diagram and you're going to take this 45-degree angle and you're going to lay it on your selvage edge. So it's going to go there like this, and I'm going to move it over so you can see these lines. So there's my 45-degree line, and you would cut like that. So these little dash lines indicate a strip of fabric. After you cut it, then you need to take your strips and cut both ends going in the same direction. You can't have them going in opposite directions. They either have to go this way or this way. This is a bias tape maker. It takes part of the fold and press process out of it for you. It does just the very first step. It'll give you a single fold bias tape. So what it is this is the back side of the fabric. You put the front side of your fabric down. You'll insert the end in here, and as you can see, it kind of curves. You'll see that on the sides it's curling up, okay? So, and then this narrows close to being a point. So you feed it through, you have your iron over here, you put your iron down on top, and then you pull on this little handle here. And as you pull, you press. So you pull and press, and it just folds the fabric for you. That's pretty slick. Now, but let me set this aside. You only get it single fold. So if you want the double fold bias tape, you have to fold it in half and press it again. This is a bias tape maker kit. I bought it on Amazon. Not only does it have all of these different size bias tape makers in it, but it has a few straight pins, some of the little fabric clips, a stiletto, and it even has a bias tape presser foot. So you can use that. It'll fold. You already have to have it folded. Now I have not used this. It does fit one of my machines, but not both of my sewing machines. So it's just a universal one. So if you don't have one of these for your machine, look for a kit like this. Now, you may or may not have a need for all of this. You may already have all of these supplies. But this really wasn't a whole lot of money. So this actually would make a nice little stocking stuffer gift for someone to give you at Christmas or a birthday or Mother's Day. Even some dads out there sew. So this just might make a nice little gift for someone. So again, you can get them out online. I got this one off of Amazon. Well, I hope this tip of the week was helpful to you. I hope it takes some of the confusion out of bias tape and bias tape makers and all of this other stuff. I find this type is helpful. I get my ideas for my tips from you, the viewers. So if you have a question about something, you're having an issue, a problem, make sure you leave a comment below and make it pretty detailed so that I don't get confused. As I get older, I find it doesn't take much to get me confused anymore. So I depend on you, the viewers, to help me to help you. Also, if you're interested in beginner sewing projects, I've got over 700 videos. I've totally lost count. Check below your YouTube screen for those video links. Now don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click on the thumbs up button. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Click on the bell so you can receive notifications about my latest videos. I'm Cheryl, and this is Scotty, and this is Manny. See you next time, and happy sewing!